Hello friends of YouTube, welcome back to Mike Reads the World. Today I am pleased to present The Black Spider by Jeremias, Gotthelf, and this has found its way probably into my top 10 favorite books of all time. And first I'll tell you the story about how I discovered it. It was actually before I even started this Reading the World project. I played a video game called Mundaun. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, the game is done in this beautiful hand-sketched graphic style, and as far as I know is made by one person, and it just captured this slice of life in a rural Swiss village, and had this whole folk horror vibe and story that I just really dug. And when I did a little investigating into, what it was inspired by, the maker of the game cited this novel, which is and it's actually a novella. It's pretty short. There's not even chapters or anything. It's just kind of like one story, and it's like 108 pages. So yeah, this was cited, and it was written published in 1842, so it's quite older, and it's also on the back here Thomas Mann, the famous modernist German author, said, "There is scarcely a work in world literature that I admire more." So he would have been like a contemporary of Edgar Allan Poe. This is, much like the video game I just described, takes place in a remote Swiss village in the Alps, and it starts out very innocuous. It's a great horror movies, when they always kind of lure you in with like some very calm stuff happening at the beginning before they hit you with the crazy stuff. That's what this is like. So you're getting this this baptism, this christening ritual going on, and then at some point during this ritual, somebody notices a little black post as part of the newly constructed house that this family that's involved in the baptism has built. And so the grandfather starts to tell a story about why this little post is blackened and why they didn't remove it. And we go back in time basically to the most of the novella is this story that the grandfather is telling, but we do come back to the frame story twice, like once in the middle and then once at the end again. But the bulk of the story takes place in the past, and it starts kind of in medieval-ish times. There's this just the worst kind of feudal lord you can imagine is lording over the peasants, and basically just out of vanity decides he wants this avenue of beech trees, and so he orders the peasants to replant like 100 beech trees in a certain amount of time, and if they don't, they're going to be punished. They won't get food. He's just a complete jerk about it, and that's putting it lightly. Obviously, I have other words I could use, but trying to keep this family friendly. So so the village is like, what are we going to do? And then there's one particularly strong-willed peasant, Christine. Now, the villagers all see this green man, or this green huntsman appear, and he's got like a red beard and if I remember, like a red cap. And he's basically the devil. He's basically the devil, and he says that he will basically help them accomplish this nearly impossible task for their lords, that they don't get punished but they have to bring him a firstborn child, or not a firstborn child, a non-baptized child, an unbaptized child. So there's kind of a predicament here. Obviously, the villagers realize, you know, this isn't like a stupid folktale where the villagers, the peasants are stupid. They realize that this is like the devil. They realize that like this random guy who is offering to help them, clearly with magic powers, is asking for an unbaptized child. They know what's going on. But yeah, so this strong-willed peasant, Christine, she decides, like, basically to go ahead and make this deal. And this sounds like spoilers, but believe me, I am not... This goes off the wall crazy. The title of the book is The Black Spider, right? Let me just say, if you are an arachnophobe, you're probably gonna hate this book. If you're a mild arachnophobe, if you can stand it at least, then it's gonna just creep you the heck out. I don't even know how much I should give away, because, like, part of what made this so good to me was how unexpected some of the stuff that happened is. So I guess I'll go a little bit further, but if you want to find out for yourself what happens when Christine decides to go ahead and make this bargain, and can you blame her? I mean, can you blame her for wanting to make this bargain? That's what's so interesting morally about this story. It's like a religious parable, you know, like there's clearly, the author clearly believes in Christianity, believes in the devil, believes in God, and this is definitely a Christian parable. But it's a Christian parable with really interesting nuances. Like, for one, the fact that the peasants are like between a rock and a hard place. They literally, like, you either make a deal with the devil or you starve and die in misery. And that, and like, you know, there's parts of this when, after this deal is made, where the devil actually starts punishing some of, like, the knights who go out to bully the peasants or try to figure out what they're doing. So there's one part of this where almost this devil character, the Green Man, appears to be maybe a protagonist, which is interesting, kind of in the sense of like John Milton, Paradise Lost, I guess you could say. But yeah, so if I don't know, if any of this sounds interesting to you, there is nuance to it, and like there's moral lessons in this that go deeper than Christianity, in my opinion. And I love the Gothic stuff. I am such a fan of folk horror, folktale horror, rural folktale horror, and this kind of stuff. So for me, it's a top 10 book that I'm gonna read again and love for the rest of my life, probably. It's up there with like the books I've talked about in this project with such passion. Pedro Páramo is one. Mehmed My Hawk is another. This is one. Those are honestly those are the top 3 that are coming to mind right now. There's more that I love too and will reread, but like those might be the top 3 so far. And this one is yeah. If you want it, I'll go a little bit further, but now if you don't want like any other spoiler about kind of the horror that develops, then I would recommend to turn the video off and go read it. And I'm only going to go a little bit farther, not a lot farther. But basically, after Christine makes this pact with the devil, a black mark starts growing on her face, and then it starts growing a leg, and it kind of resembles a spider, like, growing on her face. So that's, and again, it gets even a lot crazier than that. I don't really, yeah, I don't see the need to ruin it more. If that already doesn't sound like your thing, or if this really sounds like your thing and sounds like it could be cool, like, please go read it. Go read it. Someday I'll do a podcast on it, analyzing it with all the spoilers, I'm sure, and the themes, and getting like a deep dive into this book. But for now, the purpose of this video for me is just to get anyone who watches this who's thinking about reading it to read it. It's so good. If you liked movies like Midsommar, I watched Midsommar this past year. That's an example of folk horror. This is definitely in that vein of story as well. And it reaches the same level of like grotesque horror that movie had. It's totally in that genre. So yeah, Midsommar, if you're a fan of the game Mundaun, I'm gonna hashtag all these in this video. I just want to attract people to this book and give you incentive to read it. That's it. So short video today because I don't want to spoil anything about the book. This might even be my shortest video on the channel yet. But it's fantastic, and I think I've covered what I love about it. The nuances, the deeper moral stuff to it. I guess I do want to add too that the writing itself is extremely beautiful in some parts, like the descriptions of the landscapes, and then when things take a darker turn, I'm just amazed how Jeremias Gotthelf can just capture like terror and beauty and everything in this story in these succinct but elaborate descriptions at the same time. It's like, you know, he does it all in 100 pages, but he really does it all. And there's even like cozy descriptions of like making coffee and the food at the baptism and things like that I really love. So it has also that slice of life element that I love from the game that originally got me into it. And yeah, so don't say video games can't get us into literature these days, because for a few of us they totally can. And yeah, so that's that should do it for this one. So yeah, it might be a week and a half or so before I get my next video up. So yeah, I wanted to get this one up quickly, but you can really read it in a day. I read it, you know, I started it last night and then finished it this morning and in the early afternoon. So yeah, pretty much less than 24 hours, you know, you can finish this. It's not, yeah, it's doable. So, but that being said, I will reread it multiple times. So it's, yeah, it's great. And it's also kind of a primer for the Halloween set list that we have coming up. I've got a lot of books like very Halloween, October, fall themed lined up for this project. So this for me, I guess I look at it as kind of a primer, getting ready for that. But yeah, the next video probably won't come for another week and a half yet. So I wanted to get this one up quick. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, thanks for watching again, and please like and subscribe. You know, share with people who might be interested in this project. I do appreciate comments and anything you guys do to make me feel like I'm not just talking to myself here, but if I am, that's totally okay too. So yeah, thanks again, and take care.